St. Boniface was the great preacher, and the other great Englishman of the time, St. Bede, was the great writer. I want to draw your attention to this question of operating with the word. Words actually do have real existence. A word can hurt deeply. A word can cause great healing. The art of writing now, except in certain major exceptions, is being lost. Very few young people actually write complete letters. It's being lost in the shortcut communication system. And very few young people are as specialized as they might have been before in the art of cultivating conversation, because the conversation now is going often into the virtual. I want to advise you young people, before you start going through life, not to make that illusion, to cultivate the real and not to think that the real is on a screen or in a mobile phone. Learn how to be interesting. Learn how to emit only healing words. There is an art in engagement between souls, whether it's writing or speaking. There are a few tricks. Knowing when one is no longer interesting. Somebody who is always doing the talking is, after a while, not interesting. And he's not in any way aware that there's somebody actually before him. He is looking for an audience. Someone also who is speaking a lot will tend to be saying a lot of unhelpful things, often about someone else. Now, conversation, good conversation, can be uplifting and in a way healing, e.g. the art of knowing how to tell a story. Cultivate that. Cultivate the art of listening to what the person is interested in. Cultivate the art of fishing out of that person what's deep inside. The other one, writing letters, is something also to be looked at. If one is in the habit of only sending brief messages, what we call text tennis, it's not deep communication. It's actually even dangerous because you're on it for a long time. And it's not worth it going through life in this immediate availability. The same with too much opening of the computer to look at the email. It's not communication of depth. Whereas the classical letter, the classical conversation is far more human and needs to be remembered. I want to go into St. Bede for a moment, because he, in writing things, left us things of value which would not have been known. He tells us, for instance, what was going on in that period, early period in English history. All kinds of stories we would never have known, would have gone into oblivion. For instance, not long before he was writing, somebody had died in England. He was just an ordinary man, and he would have gone completely into the oblivion of non-history had it not been for the fact that something happened after he died. They were burying him, and that was it. But just before they put him in the ground, he sat up, and everyone was frightened out of their wits. What had happened? Well, his name was Drithelm, and this is what had happened. When his soul left the body, he eventually found himself on the other side. He met an angel, and the angel allowed him to have a tour of the beyond. So it started down under, you know what that means. It wasn't a nice place. And he was given to understand that the people down there could have avoided it had they at the last minute had a priest or made an act of contrition. But they didn't. They refused the last pull of grace. Eventually, he was shown the next stage. What's that called? What's in between?
Purgatory.
And what happens in purgatory?
People pray to get up to heaven.
Exactly. And they are being... What is the root in purgatory? Can you see a root there in the word itself? What is it like any other word?
Purify.
That's right. They've been purified, they've been purged. Purgatorium, purge. And so what's happening there is that they weren't actually ready for the vision of God because they had baggage. Some of them actually, according to what he was allowed to see, really shouldn't have been there. They should have been in the other place. But just at the last minute, some pull had come from somewhere and it had just been enough to get them from the other place. And we know from various big saints like Padre Pio or John Marie Vianney, who was the parish priest of Ars a century earlier on, that this kind of thing would go on. A lady came to him, parish priest of Ars, Jean Marie Vianney, because her husband had committed suicide by throwing himself off the bridge into the river, couldn't swim. And she was upset, thinking that he might have been lost. And the parish priest of Ars, who could see things, he had gifts, consoled her that between the bridge and the water, he'd had a grace. And it was a flash, and in it he saw his future under the water, and he saw where he was going. And he had just enough time, in one split second, to say, "Sorry!" And he was saved forevermore. So, one split second of consciousness can be enough to change all eternity. Adrithel saw all that. There were some there who shouldn't really be there, but something at the last minute got them. And these last moments are happening all around you, because some of your friends already may be tempted to commit suicide and things. I just had phone calls recently. There was a girl, your age or so, she was 13 and she just committed suicide, and they found her hanging and they tried to get her down and to resuscitate her in hospital by all means, and they took her off life support and the heart did carry on beating, but she hasn't woken up. So if she does wake up, what quality of life we don't know she'll have. So that's the kind of thing that even at your age it's starting to happen. So just be aware of that. Death is potentially all around us. And only day before yesterday, I think it was, I was having texts from a friend in Italy, just come out of church from Mass in the morning, and before her very eyes, this motorcyclist was coming at 100 kilometers an hour and straight into a car, was thrown into the air and onto some wall and died instantly. And she was upset because she'd never seen that happen before her eyes. And the car was full of children who were terribly upset. But the thought that was coming to us was, that's a way to go. And then from one split second of normality on your motorbike to the beyond forevermore, the difference is just cosmic when you think about it. It's finished. There's no coming back, and there's no time to think either. So that's what also is happening all around this planet right now. You know how many people are dying? It's about 2 a second over the world. That's a lot of souls going all the time into the beyond. So they're all ending up somewhere. Now, he was also shown what can help them in that place. One is what we're doing right now. This is a great help to the souls in purgatory if we apply it for them and people specifically. Where was the last place he just about saw? Going up, going up. Now what happened there? Did he go in? Well, it's like this. He was shown, as it were, something of the Godhead, and he was given to understand that he had a choice before him there. He was congratulated for getting that far, that he wasn't lost, that he was going to have entrance to glory. But, and this is the unexpected bit, he was given a choice. Having seen what you've just seen, what do you prefer? To go in now or to go back? And to draw in lots of souls after you. What did he do? What would you have done? Would you do the same, or do you want to go in? You want to go back? He came back and woke up, therefore, when they were just about to put him in the grave. And what happened then? Can you think what he did with the rest of his life?
He preached.
He was only a layman. He preached by his person. So what did he do? What can you imagine he would do?
Would he do a better life than he had before?
Yes, and what kind of thing do you think he'd do?
Well, help people and do more good stuff.
Yes. And can you think of the kind of good thing that he would do to help people to get into heaven?
Tell them about Jesus.
Yes.
And help them start praying and get into church and all.
That's it. So you mentioned one big one there, praying and giving the example. So what he did was, until he died, every moment of his life was given to praying and to doing penance for other people. So he would do very severe penances, and he became a great saint, Saint Tristram, which now we wouldn't hear about too much because they're early saints. But these were hidden people who knew about it and got to heaven with a whole baggage of merit. You know that Our Lady is supposed to have said in the early stages of Medjugorje, because the girls and the two boys wanted to go with her to heaven apparently straight away. And you know what she's supposed to have said? Can you imagine?
No, stay here and you'll be up. You'll carry on your life and do whatever you can to be good and pray and help people.
That's it. Virtually that's what it was. In fact, it was in a few words. What she said was this, apparently, that you had to have your hands full of merits. In other words, if they died now, they wouldn't have any baggage. So it was a chance to have good time on earth, not to be living for themselves, but to always be praying and helping others. And that's carrying baggage of merit, because that's the only thing that we carry with us into the beyond. You know, they say there are no pockets in a shroud. We can't carry any toys, we can't carry any wealth, we can't even carry university degrees, and certainly no face-on-face fame on the internet, nothing at all before men. It's all the invisible, and that's made of merit. So I just conclude, before you start therefore on the journey of life, don't spend it in the virtual. Engage with people in reality and engage in the ministry already precisely of radiating warmth, like Boniface with his face. The immediate contact is that of the face and the goodness. Don't go through life emitting a black cloud of pain and unpleasantness. Never allow a word to be a word that hurts. It's like a dagger which goes right into the heart. And any message, or even a text actually, what one is writing, let it be a healing text. No bitter words. You know, sometimes now young people are actually committing suicide because of bullying through the cybersphere and even texts. They stop off a relationship now, even an engagement, with a vicious text, rather than face them face to face. And it's devastating for the person at the other end that they can't even see. And all this stuff on Facebook, be careful. It's not indifferent, because Facebook is a dangerous, dangerous place to spend one's time. There are all kinds of unpleasant things going on there. It's like opening your soul to the whole world to see inside you. They have no right. So be careful. Engage with people eyeball to eyeball and heart to heart, and not screen to screen.